today we want to talk about a really cool setup we got here. And the first thing that makes it like cool is it's all analog.
All analog.
No computers. Can you believe that shit?
We don't need no DAC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we don't need no damn DAC. We don't need no F and DAC. It's all analog. What the hell does that mean? These kids out there probably don't even know.
Well, it means it's a lot harder to use, that's for sure.
It's harder to use, yeah. It's more manual.
That's right.
There's no remote control.
I mean, it has to be at least 99.9% of all music listening today is digital.
Yeah.
It's got to be.
Tell me about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, off a thing you carry in your pocket.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
and like in your car, you're not, bringing turntables with you.
Yeah, that wouldn't work too well.
People have done it, but
Yeah.
not
But-
recommended.
But here we are
Yeah.
because we can, because we can. And that's what we do. And so we're running vinyl, which a record, in case someone doesn't know what that is with grooves on it that a needle drops down in and plays stereo music on it.
Could be mono though too.
Could be mono too if you go back enough. Yeah. So you're dealing with a very mechanical device, and you have to actually carefully place the stylus on the record. You track by track. There's no remote control. You move an arm, and basically, if you're lazy, you just start at the beginning and just let it play for the half hour or so, and flip it over. People don't know about CDs.
Mm-hmm.
You flip an album over, and there's a A side and a B side.
And then some albums, like this one, has 2 A, B, C, D.
Yeah, or 1, 2, 3.
This one actually has 3.
Oh, does it?
3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
How the hell they do
there's
that?
3. I don't know, there's 3 records.
Oh, 3 records.
3 records.
three.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
That's unusual.
Yeah. So sometimes they use A, B, 1, 2, but
Yeah.
there's sides to a record.
Yeah, 6 sides in that.
Yeah, and some play half hour, some play less. I mean, usually the higher fidelity, the more they spread the grooves out, so you might not even get 15 minutes on the side.
Yeah, I got you an album like 2 years ago, and it's 1 track.
Oh, yeah,
on one
right.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they sped it up.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it blows me away. I was sitting there listening to it, and I was just looking at the needle in the grooves.
Yeah,
It's like and you can actually hear it.
you could hear
You
it.
put your ear next to it, you can hear the music
Sure.
coming from the needle itself.
Yeah, you solve problems. You don't have any digital problems, but now you got analog and mechanical problems.
Well,
Vibration.
back in the day, they had the Victrola, which
Yeah.
was like the first means of people buying music and bringing it home, right? I mean, it was a 78 RPM, which now we run 33 and a third, or 45 for the smaller, 45 RPM for the smaller disc. But the old school ones, you wound them up, and
Yeah,
it used a steel needle. Those were hard records back then.
they had to be.
They were Bakelite or
Yeah.
whatever the material was.
Is the one we have here a Victrola?
Yeah, that's a Victrola. Yeah. And I mean, it was probably, I don't know when they came up with that one. It was early 1900s. But that was the first time people could actually buy music and listen to it at home. And it's still going today.
Yeah.
Kinda.
And
Yeah,
more
but those
popular.
didn't use amplification either.
No,
They
it
were
was-
there.
Well,
Is that just the cabinet's a horn, right? Is
It's
that
a-
how,
most
I was
of them.
looking in there. Yeah.
So that's
No
no
power.
amp, nothing.
No
No
power.
power.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hand wound.
The steel needle went through some sort of diaphragm that vibrated a diaphragm, and then they used acoustic amplification through a horn structure that brought
Yeah.
the music out to the room. And it was crude. I mean, it sounded pretty bad, but I mean,
Yeah, it's got a haunting sound.
but if you can believe it, back in the day, people who first heard that at home cried, just like they do
well, because
today.
there was
with-
no other way to do. You needed a band in your room at the time.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it brought emotion to people in their homes, just like today's best systems do. So it was kind of cool when you think about it. I mean, and here we are 100+ years later, and we're still spinning vinyl, and I think it's more popular than ever.
Yeah. Well, this unit itself is a little easier to use.
Yeah.
yeah,
Has some,
automation.
some automation that start stops and places the needle if you don't want to find your specific track.
Do you know what the model number of that is?
The Automat A1 from Project.
Project Automat.
Yeah, so we don't sell it or anything.
No.
Yeah. What is it like retail? Like, do you know?
The retail's $500.
5.
But
yeah.
Amazon seems to always have deals.
Yeah. So this
As
is
they
the
do.
lower end of turntables
Yeah.
because
Right.
you could spend $250,000 on a turntable if you want to. It's a serious turntable.
You could spend 15 grand on just the cartridge.
Yeah, or more, right?
This one seems like it's set up specifically so that you don't go down the rabbit hole because it's difficult to modify.
Yeah.
It has a preamp built in. It's supposed to be kind of a no nonsense. Just I want to listen to vinyl. That's it.
And it's cool, Bo. I mean, this is something that people, if they've never tried vinyl, this is where you want to start. I mean, because there's not a lot to screw up here. it's a plug and play.
Right.
Yeah.
Where when you get into the higher end of things, it's
Well,
more R&D
setup
involved.
is critical.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things you can change and mess up, or
Yeah.
but when it's right, it's right. It's the typical high-end audio thing where, when you get in the upper echelons of everything, whether it be headphones or speakers or anything, you need to spend the time to get it the way you like it, the way it sounds, the way you like it. But in this case, it's pretty much fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just plugs right into the amp.
Yeah.
You know, we have the WA22 here, and it's just straight in.
Yeah. Right. So we're actually running. So it's purely analog,
Yeah.
vinyl, from a stylus and a record, picking up the vibrations and picking up the music in the needle in the groove. Small amplification in there, it plugs in, running RCA interconnect, so left-right channel interconnect coming right out of the turntable, plugging right into the back of the tube amplifier. And some albums we got up behind us were actually recorded back in the day when that's the way that they used tubes. They used tape to record this. The Santana Abraxas album, this poster's from '69. Yeah, and it's a high-res recording you could buy today, you could purchase today, and it sounds top shelf.
Yeah.
It's the same recording from '69, just
Right.
put the high
Well,
res.
they also have new 180 gram release on vinyl of that album too. So you get a new. This is the original one.
Yeah,
You
right.
can get a new one. I don't know what the sound difference is.
Yeah, I happened to pick up an original in a estate sale. I probably paid a few dollars for it.
Right.
Right from '62. And the poster is still in there. That poster is still in here, folded up, never touched. Really, doesn't look like it's ever touched. So it's crazy what you can get. That you think about it back from 50 years or plus years ago. That people they still have it, and they're in pretty good damn shape. But anyway, back to the topic. We've been listening to this, and it sounds pretty cool. I mean, it's not digital.
No.
No.
Not at all.
Yeah, we were comparing it to digital on the same track, and it's like, well, that's not the same. For better or worse, right?
Right.
Depends on the track, depends on the recording, depends on everything.
Yeah, the Santana album had incredible imaging for vinyl, I thought. There was a part of a song where it starts off mostly guitar, and all of a sudden the congas pop up. And it's,
Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah, right.
Like behind left imaging, for sure.
Yep.
Like, very clear.
Tried the
So-
same thing on digital, and it doesn't. It's similar, but it doesn't do that.
It's like more holographic
Yeah,
sounding or
yeah.
something. I don't know. Where this was more like a bubble, maybe. I don't know.
It's hard to describe.
Yeah, and it changes per album because whoever mastered
yeah.
any of them is just completely
Well,
different.
and the limitations are we're dealing with a relatively low-cost source, this turntable.
Yeah,
And if you I've go back decades in audio, and I've heard really, really good vinyl setups, and they exceed digital. They exceed most of the digital,
Yeah.
particularly because most of the DACs out there aren't. Until you get into the higher end of things, they're not that great either in
Yeah,
terms
yeah.
of overall sonic character,
It's the same thing, only different components.
Yeah. There's limitations,
Yeah.
and I mean, when you get into the higher end of things, these manufacturers tweak the shit out of this stuff. But bottom line is that, I mean, you can hear the limitations, but yet it's cool. It's soft. It's not brittle. It's not bright. Doesn't annoy
Yeah.
you.
it doesn't sound to me. It doesn't sound as much as a limitation as just a different presentation.
Agreed.
Like, I didn't think it was worse.
Yeah.
It was just different and cool still,
Right.
And it adds a layer of realism to the sound
True.
that is often lost on digital.
Well, yeah.
It's kind of tube amps do the same kind of thing, but then you do both.
Yeah, right. Well, that's the cool thing about tubes. I mean, when a lot of the older stuff was laid down, that's what they were running is, tape. It was recorded to tape, and they were running tube gear back then for the most part until you hit probably the mid to upper 70s or so, or early 80s, and stuff started going digital, recording in digital for the first time. So the reality of it is, tubes, playing it back in with tubes is kind of like listening to it the way they laid down the music back then. It's really a time machine. They're going back. This is what these guys heard on that record when they bought it in 1969, right? Of course, they didn't have headphones like this. But even then, those headphones at the time were made to go with this stuff. Simple paper dynamic drivers they used in a lot of the headphones, and in the mids probably sounded great on this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
You
it's
know?
really cool to have that experience.
Yeah.
Like Alessandro, because we know what he uses when he's mastering.
The Nine Inch Nails guy.
Yeah.
Our man?
Alessandro Cortini.
Oh, we
and,
didn't try it. We have his album.
Oh yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it's sealed. I didn't want to.
Oh yeah, we still haven't opened it. Sorry, Sandra, we didn't open
Yeah.
it yet.
We listened to it digitally.
Yeah.
He
So,
uses-
that sounds good.
He uses our headphones, and it's like we can listen to that album with our so you really know.
Yeah.
Like you can really recreate that experience that
Yeah.
he had.
We're
when
gonna
he
have
was
to
making
try it.
Yeah, we're gonna have to now. Well, on a better turntable.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to take it home. But no, this is a good starter setup. And I mean, you could spend a lot more. You could go into a few $1,000 range. Project makes higher end models. So does everybody.
Yeah.
You know, and they allow more customizability where you can change the cartridge out and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
They even have some that's in this price range that are clearly made to be upgraded as well, without the automation
Yeah,
feature.
they have a big full lineup
Yeah.
at every price range.
Right. And then there's a number of companies that have been around a long time that also do very nice turntables. And when you get into the few $1,000 range for a turntable, they're mechanically beautiful. They start to get nice.
Yeah, it's like a
yours.
watch.
I don't know who makes the ones you have. It's pretty
It's
nice.
made by Project.
Is it? It is a project.
They started another company for the higher end.
What's the
Yeah.
name of it?
I can never remember it.
Yeah.
It's like European
Nice.
something. It's like 3 letters.
Yeah.
ETC or something.
I've got a Techniques. I got
Yeah.
the heavy freaking cast metal Techniques
Mhm.
turned to 1200 SL, I think it's called. Yeah, nice turntables.
And the new stuff sounds good too. Right? It's
Right,
not
like, yeah,
it's
like
not
this
just like
album.
the old
Was remastered specifically for vinyl.
Well, probably. I mean, it's
Yeah.
Daft Punk.
Yeah,
They
right.
were probably in the room while they were
Mhm.
mastering because they're
That's
so
what they do.
fastidious with their music. So and it sounds very cool. Giorgio, we were
That's right.
pretty impressed with.
Mhm.
So it seems like it's softer. It's lacking some of the technical details, but
Again,
Giorgio
it's the
and Bavaria-
turntable.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a very cool experience.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I
So-
mean, if you it amazes me when you hear albums like this, even particularly the older ones, on a really nice turntable setup. It amazes me how much information is in the grooves. It's just crazy. And I mean, CD will do that too. I remember having the same experience with CD. So have you.
Mhm.
We're just accustomed to. It seems like in the high end of things, the manufacturers continuously try to extract more information
Yeah.
out of the same track.
Mhm.
Because really, everyone's working off the same track.
Yeah.
I mean, like Ricky Lee Jones from the early '80s. This is one of my first albums that I had on CD. I didn't have the album back then, but that I used for listening comparison tests or back in the day before we even made cables. I was using it just to listen to like op amp differences, and and it was available to me, and it's cool. It's got a quiet background, and it's easy to compare changes in a system with a track like that, where a cymbal hit decays out in time, and these are things that vinyl's very good at too.
Yeah, you
through
showed me
tubes.
that song, and the cymbals just never stop decaying.
Yeah.
They just keep going. And I went over and listened to the computer. I was like, cymbal died.
Yeah,
It just
right.
dies.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It's crazy when you think about it. It's on the track. It's in the recording, right?
Well, particularly with old music like that, it's like this is actually the same thing that you played then. Not like you don't know what it is on a streaming service,
Right.
what file it is.
How they
This is like-
changed it.
This is actually the original.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously that doesn't work with modern music, but
yeah,
it's
with
pretty
the
cool.
modern stuff, it's got to get real complicated. You
Yeah.
probably got to Google every album just to
Yeah.
see who mastered it, if they
Yeah,
cared.
if they just put
you know.
MP3s onto a vinyl, who knows?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of the vinyl that's coming out today isn't as well thought out.
But
know.
you got both ends of that because there's probably some that's like, now that it's more popular, they're like actually thinking about it a lot.
Yeah, that's true. Some bands really care about it.
Yeah.
I mean, they just, totally. The quality has to be there regardless of the format,
But
which is great.
it is true that vinyl varies depending on pressings, where it's from. You got to look online which one's the best. So it's
Old and new.
yeah.
The old stuff was the same way.
Are people following mastering engineers, like buying albums because they're mastered by a guy?
Maybe.
Some.
Yeah.
Some.
Yeah.
Like
But-
particular labels are like that too. Like higher end labels that are known for quality.
I mean, the audiophile circles, they certainly do.
Yeah.
The younger generation, probably not.
Yeah.
It's probably, because they're pretty much absorbing it off online. They only know the one format. But yeah, you think about it, when you could get different versions of an album or a record that go back 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
And some are better than others. And
Well,
sometimes the original's the best.
Then you got just how it was maintained, cared for too, to consider too. So scratches and dirt and everything. So you want a clean one and the right one and then they usually get expensive.
I bet half the people in Portland know who masters every album.
Yeah.
That sounds like a Portland thing to me.
Don't know.
Maybe.
Don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know if it's regional.
But
No one in Germany will get that anyway.
the other cool thing is on certain tracks you can see physically where different parts come in due to the how
You can
big
look at the record and see
yeah.
where the quiet parts
Yeah,
are.
quiet or
It's
loud.
smoother
Yeah.
where the quiet grooves are versus the loud
Yeah.
portions.
Yeah, you can see where there's a lot of information just by looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I have a newer album at home, and it's it has some loud, hard rock sections, and you can just see like this whole section is just loud. One whole track. It's pretty cool.
I find the hand of the experience to be a lot of fun too. Actually
Yeah, me too.
opening it up,
Yeah.
swapping the vinyls, and the weight and the whole deal, and
You own it.
yeah,
It's yours. It's your record.
It feels great, and yeah,
And it is sort of a reference when you think about it. It's a constant. Like when back in the day when I was learning how to listen to differences in cabling and so on, and trying to design stuff out of that, you need a constant. You need something that never varies. Unlike online digital, where
Yeah.
we tried different formats, even like between Tidal and Qobuz, and it varies wildly just with that. So
Yeah.
what's your constant? You can't. It's hard to design like that. You technically speaking, as a designer, I prefer a fixed source.
I mean, you can do that with
You know.
CD too.
Right,
course,
sure,
but,
sure,
yeah.
sure. But you got to have the CD.
Physical media.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to have the physical media. Yeah, and it is a constant, and so you really need that as a designer. You can't rely on, you don't know what made the change if you're relying on different digital formats.
It's kind of like when Tidal changed to they changed their format, to
Yeah,
FLAC.
like twice now.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like now it's different again.
Yeah.
it sounds different.
Yeah.
Or Apple
And
went to
whenever they
high
change
res before
something.
they weren't. Now
Right.
Apple is lossless or whatever it is. But yeah,
Yeah.
so I mean before it wasn't. So yeah, so I mean you always got to that kind of stuff. You always got to second guess. But bottom line is that I mean this is stuff to enjoy though. This is the beauty of having like a simple plug and play device like that turntable. There's not a lot of thought process involved. Go out and find some old records and have at it.
Yeah, well, if you're in this hobby, whether it's headphones or speakers, and you don't have a turntable, you likely can just buy this and plug it into everything you have.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just an add-on to exactly what you have.
Yeah, just to try.
Without much fuss.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean you need room for it.
Right.
That is a problem. It needs
Isolation is
You need 2
critical.
square feet or so of table space, and yeah, and it's sensitive to vibration. Your kid can't have kids jumping down in the room.
yeah,
There's ways to solve that, but it gets expensive.
Yeah.
You try to isolate vibration.
But I think that is the cool thing is because you can start with something simple like this, and it's like plug and play, ready to go, and then you can go as deep down the rabbit. You can
Yeah.
tweak every single
Like
component
anything in
out.
audio.
yeah.
Well-
Well, even the start sounded decent, so you have a starting point. You know
Yeah.
if you like it.
Yeah,
From
Yeah,
what-
yeah.
because like with a DAC, you plug it in. That's it. That's what it is now. We might have some filters, but that's about it.
Yeah.
But this
Well-
you can change everything.
Yeah, with this setup, we liked the MR with the WA22. Even though the WA22, it'll run DZ, and even with a high voltage DAC, it'll run the 1266 competently. But in this setup, the MR really sung though.
Mm-hmm.
It was the,
Agreed.
especially the vocals.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, the MR, because of its more mid-range centric tuning, just grabbed onto the vinyl and the tube sound, and and hugged it. And I think it's more of a, it's more attuned to a lower cost source like this turntable, which was the MR was designed for. Was not as particular with source material, and so which makes sense. It's more focused on stuff like this, where, it's you're not trying to squeak out every last millimeter, centimeter, inches of frickin' resolution. You just want to enjoy the thing. You don't want to worry about that. You bought a used record and it's got a couple scratches.
Right.
It'll play all right through it. You're not going to ruin your $10,000 cartridge doing that. If it's a little dirty, it's okay. You can clean it up. It'll be all right. You're not destroying a very expensive piece of kit
Yeah.
with experimenting with old albums and stuff. So it's a good start for people, especially when they don't understand the limitations of like how easy it is to break a cartridge.
I'm afraid to even look
Or
at
if your
it.
kid gets at it and just goes, it's like, well, that's done.
Yeah, we were at
Yeah.
our local dealer months ago, and they had some they were playing a turntable, and he's like, "Oh, change the track," and he's like, "Oh," and then before he's just talking about how the cartridge is $10,000, and I'm like, "Why don't you change it?"
Yeah, right.
Even though I have a turntable and I use it,
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh."
I know, right? Even the guys in the store, the sales guys are like, you know what? We let the boss deal with this card. We don't even want to touch it ourselves. Let him put it to.
Because it doesn't take much.
Yeah, because they don't want to be in charge. And 'cause, you know, the thing is, you know, these are big. When you get to that level, these are big boy toys, and everything could be fixed. You know, people worry about headphones blowing up or breaking, and you know, regardless of the fault or the cause, it could be fixed.
Yeah.
It's not a permanent. It's not like it burned in a freaking. You know, it went down in a Poseidon or something, and sunk to the bottom of the ocean. It could be repaired.
It can be, but
you know?
it helps if it's like $100 cartridge. You're not as worried about it.
Agreed.
It's like it's only $100 to
Totally
put it
agree. These are the ones you want to screw up.
Yeah.
I
You
highly
gotta
recommend.
Learn on a
Totally.
cheaper stuff.
I highly recommend you start with this end if you've never played with vinyl before, and then work your way up. Make your mistakes at this end because that cartridge might cost $100 to replace. And even with that end, like I think it's a cheap. You said it was a low-cost Ortofon cartridge. Even I think at that end, you can buy just the stylus, which is what usually goes bad. And I don't know how to do it, but I think you just pull it out. It's in the little rubber grommet. You pull it out and you push a new one in, and you're done. So I usually leave the dealers or somebody that knows what they're doing to do that. But there probably are YouTube videos on how to do this. But the point is, there are ways to fix it where you could buy just the stylus. And it might be $40 or $50, but the point is, it's not the end of the world. It's just a stylus. You can fix it.
Yeah.
You know, and lesson learned.
It really is an incredible technology.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, all the music is physically in that.
What's cool is it's still going. So on that note, everyone, if you got any questions, Norm's here. He's the man that usually answers the phone.
Yeah.
And we're a dealer for Woo Audio. We sell the WA-22. It's a beautiful amp for stuff like this. It really is. It's small, low profile, and sounds really good. You know, for its price point.
Yeah.
And really good, really nice, nicely made. And so this is the kind of region you want to be in if you're starting out. You got some money, and you want to get a nice pair of headphones, a nice tube amp, you know, like the Diana's, and that W22.
Yeah, it's weird saying that WA-22 is a great value, because
Right.
you know it's
$3,000.
it's $3,000. So, but really, at $3,000 compared to some of the stuff we've heard,
Right.
it's an incredible value.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we've had $18,000 tube amps at Can Jam,
Right.
and it's like they were amazing.
They're
they
good.
really were. But I mean, like for the price,
Yeah.
Well, and I memean, you could plug your DAC into it too and have both.
Yeah.
Compare it side by side. You got your iPad, play the same track. That is pretty fun to compare.
Yeah, that's what I was doing with the Daft Punk album.
Yeah.
I believe you can use this as a preamp too.
You can.
It has a
yeah.
volume control on it, so you actually get a tube preamp. So you come in and you could go out to a set of speaker amps too, and use it really for headphones or speakers, which is really freaking cool. So anyway, yeah. Bottom line is, have at it, guys. It's out there. It's out there to play with. These are toys. These are relatively inexpensive toys for Christmas.
It's particularly in the headphone space. You don't really see many people spinning vinyl.
No.
You do. It exists, but especially in a show setting, it's a lot more work, obviously, at a show. But
Yeah. Well, I hope some people watching give it a try, because it's really very easy to set up. The experience is very cool. Vinyls don't have to be super expensive.
Right.
You know, there's ways to get them pretty cheap. So
And if you already got a setup like this, comment. Let us know. Let people know in our comments about what you're using. I mean, it's cool stories, and what works for you and what doesn't.
yeah, people read other people's comments.
Yeah,
You know,
totally.
there's discussions that take place. So
Yeah.
yeah, you always hear people saying, "I got this DAC, that," but you never hear anybody talk about, "Oh, I got this cartridge or this
Yeah.
specific vinyl in the headphone space."
Yep.
particularly.
Yeah.
I think I saw that vinyls overtook CDs
Yeah, I think so.
this year.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
CDs are dead.
Yeah, but that's the thing. So, is that a lot? I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I know, but it's still going. Still going. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Like I said, give us a call or email us if you need to know anything about this good stuff or anything else with the headphone technology, because we are experts at what we do and we can help you out. Thank you. Take care.